all I, comma, lid, comma, have seen. Well, now we've just been walking for 3 weeks and I've yet to see land. I'm walking on air.
Hello. So we're doing a thing.
We're having a great time.
Yes, we are. We decided that we were going to look at dual rule.
Which Markus has been very kind and merged.
Yes.
He has taken both Neo and Lid's parts and fit them into the timeline and stuff.
Yeah. And it's not exactly even.
No.
At all.
There is 42 chapters of Lid in a go. Or
42 pages.
42 pages of Lid in a row, and then like 3 for Neo. And then another chunk of Lid.
And now we're looking at like how can we even things out a little bit, because while it doesn't have to be exactly 10 pages of each point of view, at the moment it's a little bit too
imbalanced.
Yeah. And so we started looking at that, and we looked at the first 21 pages, which was Lid, and we figured out a pretty good way of like shrinking that down, halving it pretty much.
Yeah.
So that was pretty nice. And then we looked at Niam's 26 pages, 25 pages, something like that, after, where Lid had
21 pages from her status quo, using her powers for the first time, finding out she even has powers, learning about the quest, learning about the mainland, packing, and being on the cusp of leaving. That was 21 pages.
In Niam's first 25 pages, he had a page and a half of status quo. He discovered his powers. Guards showed up to take him away. He ran away. He left.
We met Ryla.
He left the capital. He got to a way house where he heard people talking about magic, and he kind of realized that, I have magic. I should maybe go on this quest. I don't know what's going on. He left the way house. He was chased by guards. He saved the life of a guard, which was also his air trial. He met some outcasts, found out he had the powers, got some really cryptic advice from one of the outcasts. Then he is about to leave the outcasts.
That's a day and a half.
Yeah. So we concluded that couldn't really be shrunk. That couldn't be made any faster because it was already very, very fast. And so we thought that, we should move something of Lid's to happen in between there.
Yeah, break it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about because we talked before about the whole boat journey over from the archipelago to the mainland, and how much of that needs to happen. Can we move any of the kind of exposition-y dumpy things from before and put them on that boat trip to make that a bit more interesting? And because I was like, it needs to be a bit of time between her finding out she has powers and she go on the quest and her leaving, because a boat doesn't just stand around waiting for passengers. And then Markus suggested that, what if they use a different boat? What if they use a fisherman's boat or something instead? To which I said that, then it's going to be longer, because that will take a longer time to cross the stretch of water here. And then we kept talking about that, and I was like, also we could skip from the previous bit before the boat. We don't have to have a packing montage, because the lighter they travel, the better. If they just bring a pouch of coins, that's it, and then they can get to the mainland and buy what they need then. Which led to, do they even have to take a boat, because they're not bringing a lot of things, they're just bringing coins, and if they're in sort of an eagle hawk form, if that's their bird form, they could just fly, and a bird of that size could wear the pouch tied to their leg or something. So we could do that. Yes, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And then what?
So they are here
from the beginning,
and then we said that they took a boat to go there. And then they went down here to the metal trial. Why?
Well, they were going to buy a bunch of supplies up here, you see.
Yes.
But if they don't buy any supplies, because what supplies do they actually need? They need food, which they can hunt for, or race for, or pick berries for, or what have you, depending on the animal form they choose to be in. What else do they need? Well, possibly like a weapon, a knife or something could be good, but also they're not warriors, and at this point they don't know they're going to be hunted by guards, so why, really?
I mean, they do know that they are shapeshifters, and are like, people hate shapeshifters, so maybe we'll need to defend ourselves.
True.
That could make sense.
True. And sure, like a knife of like that size. You could claw it as a hawk. Like that could still work. And I was like, yeah, but what about a warmer change of clothes or something? Yeah, but again, you can shift into a warmer animal form and heat up that way. So basically, they do not need to go from there to there. They can just fly, not even take a boat, from there to the metal trial. And we could speed it up by about a week.
Yes. So that was an excellent idea. We liked that idea.
Sure.
We could speed things up.
Yeah.
But that would speed things up.
Which is the problem for DM.
Lid is just gonna go from the archipelago to the metal trial.
Yep.
And do that. That's great. Mm-hmm. Except that's supposed to happen on day 13.
Yep.
And Liam in this time has to do all of the things that he did in those 25 first pages.
Well, luckily that was a day and a half. So he really checked off that list real fast.
Yes. And then he's supposed to go meet Annery.
On day 12.
Yeah. And get to Inferno Valley. That's a lot of Liam before Lid does anything relevant. So now we're going to have to figure that out.
And we're only about a quarter-ish into the timeline for Lid now.
Yeah.
Not even for Liam.
No.
And everything is fine. We have moved the camera around.
Yes.
Same us. Same camera.
Same day.
Different view.
Yeah.
Same clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same story.
Same
issues. Problem.
So what I've said in the 4 minutes took us to move the camera and change the battery, I would also be okay with us shrinking how long they have to do things.
Yeah.
Like what the deadline is. We have the deadline at 50 days from getting your power at this point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that being 30 days or... I mean, it could be 22. Like, it doesn't have to be an even 10 either.
No.
The problem we're having is if Lid can now travel so much faster, she will get to the metal trial earlier in her story.
Mm.
She does the metal trial and then she gets into Inferno Valley shortly after.
Mm.
Which I feel, because looking at this, day 13 she does her metal trial and day 17 she does all of Inferno Valley.
Mm.
Is that what I wrote?
The further we walk, the more days spent trekking through all kinds of weather and terrain.
Okay.
So there are a few days.
Yeah.
There doesn't have to be, but
no, it really doesn't have to be.
No.
Because the Middle Mountain is on the very, very edge of Inferno Valley.
Yeah.
Why was it 3 days?
I don't know. I
was reason.
I think potentially it was to give Liam a little bit of time to get there.
True, because he's gone from there to Annery around here.
Yeah.
And then he's going to get into the forest or Inferno Valley there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this where his air trial is?
Yes.
And then he meets the outcast somewhere here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, maybe Liam needs some time.
The problem is that if Lid doesn't get her powers until like day 11, 12 somewhere, how much Liam is before she even gets her power?
Many.
Because it's at least those 25-ish first pages. Mm-hmm. And then it's 3... And now he's with Annery.
So we're at 32, 34, 35.
36, 37.
That won't work either.
No.
Okay. But if we backtrack, Lid does not need 21 pages of status quo. Oh, I have powers. I'm going to go on a quest. What the hell is money? And then boarding a boat, ship, barrel, I don't know. Getting to the fishing village, which I've written as a city, which is too big, and then taking a 4-day hike to get to Metal Trial. Because that would be stupid. But she can't do anything before her Metal Trial either. Like another trial, I mean.
She could do her air one.
The thing is also, her air trial was supposed to work as, hey, people, humans, can be decent people. All I, Lid have seen, comma, Lyd, comma, have seen of humans before, is not very favourable. I mean, if she did her air trial with Tev earlier, she would start off on the right foot with humans, surprisingly right foot. Like, she would be pleasantly surprised, given everything her mom has told her. But
there is the whole thing where, like you said, the air trial was supposed to be humans aren't so bad, I have leadership. Like, it was going to be a turning point.
Humans aren't so bad, I have leadership abilities, we're fine.
Yes. No, but like, it was going to be a turning point for her.
Yes.
Then you still need that turning point somewhere, because you can't have that in the very beginning of the story.
No. You're right, that is supposed to be a turning point. And she can't have her turning point. She can, but she has no need to have a turning point before then.
No.
Sure, she could build the giant fan before, but then she still needs a turning point then. And I don't know why she would.
Okay, but what if we
What if we move where the archipelago is?
I was actually gonna ask, what if we move where the capital is?
Oh.
If we move the capital closer to Inferno Valley, like put it here or something, then Neum doesn't need quite as much time to get from the capital to Annery to Inferno Valley.
True. And then it would also make a bit more sense, because all the things that he does in the first day and a half takes him here.
Yes.
That is a long way for someone to go.
Yes, especially when that someone is not particularly walky, normally.
Not particularly walky, doesn't have the best sense of direction, can't lie, can't fly. Yeah, that would make a lot more sense. Yeah. I'm fine with moving the capital.
Cool.
That would speed up Neum's... Not speed up the amount of days he needs.
Yeah.
Which could actually work.
Yeah, because then if we move... Let's see. If we leave...
We leave her leaving.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. She's not in the there.
She's not in the trading settlement or the mainland.
No? No. If she leaves the day after she discovers her powers.
Yes.
And then she does the metal trial maybe 2 days after?
Yeah, sure.
This is still Neum's things shouldn't happen any faster than this.
No, but if we move the capital...
Then he can get to Annery earlier.
Yeah.
He can get to Annery, there on day 7.
Mm-hmm. Which is 2 days after her doing her metal trial.
Yeah. So he could do his ground trial
there. Yeah. Which then means we need to move her Inferno Valley to the same day as his fire.
Yeah, so day 10 is her Inferno Valley.
Which is 5 days after she does her metal trial.
Yeah.
Which seems too late.
Yeah.
But if she doesn't discover her powers for a few days, if they get it on the same day as one another.
Yeah.
But then if we count backwards, she does her metal trial, say on the 8th. So if she then doesn't discover her powers until day 5, because then she leaves and then she has 1 day before the metal trial, which might be good. They might land late, or they do want to get a little bit of intel. Are their guards posted? When do they change the guards, etc.?
Yeah. That does still mean that Neum's, because these things are his first 25-ish pages.
True.
She could, because in this, then she would discover her powers on the day when he meets the outcasts.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we start with Neum until his air trial, until just after his air trial.
When he has saved her.
Yeah.
Guard. Yeah.
So that's 15 pages of Neum before we get to Lyd, which is still a lot.
Because the way it's put together now, Lyd starts, and then there's 21 pages of good writing.
Yes.
But, kind of drawn out, which I didn't intend for it to be. If it now starts with him instead, and then the math we did was that I could probably shrink her first bit down to 10. Then we have 15 Neum, maybe 10 lid. And then we go back to him meeting the outcasts.
Yeah.
And then we have her leaving.
Maybe.
Sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, this does look a lot choppier for the both of them, in a good way. I didn't mean choppier as in choppy. I meant choppier as in back and forth and things are happening in both versions in a good way. It's not, well, now we've just been walking for 3 weeks and I've yet to see land. I'm walking on air.
I still think maybe 15 pages is a little bit too much. Because then, like, the reader has a lot of, like, they get into Niam's head, and, like, they get invested in him, and then all of a sudden there's Lyd.
True. Since he is so very quickly in the inciting incident, it happens so fast, I agree that we don't want people to get too invested in Niam and his issues, and then, dropped into Lyd's head instead. But I don't know. I mean, unless we move it another day in some direction. Unless she discovers her powers before he does his air trial. But
if we put something of Lyd's in the middle of Niam's this bit, spontaneously I want to say that should be something kind of fast-paced as well. Because Niam's is fast-paced.
Yes.
And then whatever happens in Lyd's version should be something that one can also get invested in quickly.
And then I see 3 options here. One, we could start with Lyd, but then very much start with status quo, which then means the opposite issue, that we're then going to jump over into stress, and then back to her, which, yeah. Second option is that sure, we can jump over into her head somewhere during his thing, but then her stress will be about it, because we can't move her powers earlier now.
Depending on, I mean, it could be that she actually doesn't leave until like 2 days later.
I guess. I mean, sure, if we have her discover her powers on day 4, and then when he's done his air trial, she discovers her powers.
Yeah.
Like, we cut to her, what is this?
Or even before, when he leaves the Way House or something. Because she's going to discover her powers probably during the day, and he does his air trial during the night.
Fair. Then yeah, sure, move it to day 3, but later in the day than his. Well, yeah.
He leaves the capital, potentially gets to the Way House, or maybe not even that. Somewhere around there, she discovers her powers, and then we go back to him. Way House, potentially air trial, maybe outcasts, or then leaves. She leaves.
Yeah.
I think if we do his air trial and outcasts, and then she leaves, and then him with Annery, and then her medal trial, and then I think that's a good
flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking at it, I'm like, why would she wait 3 days to leave? Now that she's not gathering supplies, and she's not celebrating birthdays, and she's not...
She could be in denial.
Ha! She is in denial.
No, but I refuse to believe this. I'm not gonna go anywhere. Yeah. Because there's also the whole thing which you haven't put in yet that we talked about, where the gods gave me these powers. I hate the gods. The gods are evil. I'm not gonna do what they want.
Right.
That combined with being, scared, and I don't want to go to the mainland. I don't want to deal with humans. I don't want to deal with magic. I refuse. This didn't happen. Yeah,
and also trying to put myself into Lyd's shoes here. Shapeshifters and her mama were kicked off / left the mainland years ago. A couple hundred years ago.
Yeah.
And they're not allowed back, but they're also kind of thriving where they are.
Yeah.
Anything that happens on the mainland right now that the ruler decides to do doesn't really affect them.
No.
They have a working society, they're happy, they're, all these things. So it can also be a case of no, but I don't need to go to the mainland because I don't care for the mainland, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And if I now have these powers, and it's do a quest on the mainland that could kill you and also could make you the ruler, which you don't want to be because you hate the country.
The people you would rule.
Exactly. If it's the option is that, or, I have these powers, if I don't go on the quest, that might kill me. I will die. Yeah, but then at least I'm home and comfortable and surrounded by safety.
Yeah.
In a way.
In a way. And also, like, if I die, I die, but maybe I don't really believe in this, or maybe if I don't ever use those powers again, this won't be a problem, which could lead to her not wanting to touch anyone, which could be a whole thing too.
Yeah. That makes sense to us, at least. Let us know if it makes sense to you.
Yes.
But okay, but that means we've sped everything up.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Below the other segment, we have that word gets out that the heir is dead.
Yeah.
That was supposed to happen before Annery.
Yes.
In the first version. That was supposed to happen on day 8 and Annery on day 12.
Yeah.
Now, without us having moved that, it happens on day 9.
Yes.
Is that a reasonable time for it to happen? In the version we have, Niam overheard someone talk in a way house.
Yeah.
That the heir has been found dead and now there's going to be a new one, but no one knows who that is.
Yeah.
Probably a bastard.
Yeah.
That's what he hears.
Yeah.
Which he could still hear that after Annery. He could stop at another way house or something.
Yeah.
Overhear someone in a marketplace between Annery and the ground trial. Or just a
Well, he doesn't have a lot of time between Annery and the grand trial. No. But it could happen if we move it one bay. Yeah. If we move it one day back, he could hear it before he gets to Annery.
And I mean, if we're speeding up Lid's timeline and Niam's timeline, we need to speed up the other things.
Yeah. If we just move
everything. Yeah.
Then let's see. He leaves Inferno Valley 5 days after the planned trial. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on day 16.
I will also say that her meeting guards and way house is completely unnecessary. It adds nothing to the story.
No.
It really doesn't. So that can all go.
We're going to start writing in May.
Yes.
We were going to start writing the second half.
Yes.
Is that still what we're going to do in May?
No, probably not. I mean, looking at this and that, I am rewriting a lot of Lid.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of yours is changing, apart from a few, like, the next day instead of 3 days later, like those kind of adjustments. But I have to rewrite my entire opening for Lid. You have to make some adjustments, and possibly more than we've talked about now. Maybe you have other ideas for things you want to change around the ground trial, and like...
Maybe.
I don't know if that is enough to make up all of May for you. I don't know if you want to work on something else also in May.
I mean, since I'm probably not going to be done with Rug at the end of April as I thought, I will probably find things to do.
Probably, yeah.
Well, I want to suggest that we stop here.
Yeah.
We decide if on Saturday we continue to do this with the help of our audience, or if we continue to plot the second half of the book.
I agree. And I think it would make the most sense for us to be able to write this the best way, to keep plotting from this point.
Yeah.
And pause what happens after the separation, what happens at the end of the book, because we're evidently not there yet.
No. Okay, so on Saturday we are going to continue fixing the timeline from where we are right now, which is basically Lid's air trial.
Yeah.
And we will have you all help us with that. So thank you. Thank you for watching. See you on Saturday.
Bye!
Bye!